Today, we're diving into some really powerful ideas from Eckhart Tolle. We're going to explore a huge shift in consciousness that he talks about. This move beyond our own thoughts to find something much, much deeper about who we are and how we're connected to, well, everything. So let's get right into it. Let me start by asking you a question, a really simple one. Who is speaking in your head? Seriously, think about it for a second. Right now. For pretty much all of us, there's this nonstop internal monologue, right? A voice that's always commenting, judging, worrying. It just never shuts up. And this brings us to the first and maybe the most important step. Tolle says the beginning of real freedom comes from this one powerful realization. That voice, it's not actually you. You are the one listening to it. Just getting that, truly getting it, can feel like a massive weight has been lifted. It's a total game changer.
Okay, so let's break this down. What is this voice? Tolle gives it a name, and he says it's the root of so much of our suffering, even though we barely notice it's there. He calls it compulsive thinking.
So what exactly is compulsive thinking? Well, it's that relentless, nonstop river of mental noise. And the key word here is involuntary. You don't choose to start worrying about something next week. The thoughts just kind of show up. And in what Tolle calls the unawakened state, we're so caught up in that stream, so identified with it, that we completely mistake it for who we are.
And this voice, it has some pretty predictable habits, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. How often is it judging something as good or bad, or comparing you to someone else? It creates these dramatic stories around things that happen, and it's almost never quiet. It's like this constant filter between you and the real world. Tolle makes the bold claim that this voice is the source of almost all of our emotional pain.
Okay, so if this voice isn't who we really are, then what is it? This is where Tolle brings in the idea of the ego. And he's not talking about being arrogant or having high self-esteem. He's talking about a phantom self, a false identity that's completely made up and kept alive by our thinking mind. So the ego's biggest mistake, its core operating principle, is what Tolle calls identification with form. What on earth does that mean? It just means we build our entire sense of me from things that are temporary. Things like our job, our body, our possessions, our opinions, even our past story. We grab onto all these passing forms and we mistake them for who we truly are. This slide here really just lays it all out beautifully. It shows the two fundamental ways we can live. Over on the left, you've got the egoic mind. It's run by that voice in the head, it's always judging, and it lives completely in the past and the future. But on the right, you have awareness, or what he calls being. This is the silent watcher. It just accepts what is, it lives in the now, and it's where we find real inner peace. Tolle's whole teaching is about how to make that journey from the left side to the right. So, if the ego is the source of the problem, what's the solution? Well, Tolle's answer couldn't be clearer. It's the present moment. In fact, he calls it the ego's absolute worst enemy. Now, this sounds so simple it's almost silly, but it is incredibly deep. Think about it. Your entire life only ever happens in this one moment, now. Always. The past, that's just a collection of old nows that you remember in your head. And the future, that's just a bunch of nows you're imagining. The only thing that's ever actually real is this moment. And here's why that's so important. The ego literally cannot survive in the present moment. It needs the past for its grievances and the future for its anxieties. That's its fuel. So it has developed three main strategies for always resisting and rejecting the now. So first, the ego sees the present as just a stepping stone, something you have to get through to get to some better moment in the future. Or it sees the present as an obstacle that's in the way of what it wants. And finally, it sees the present as an enemy. You know, that feeling of this shouldn't be happening. In any of these cases, by constantly fighting what is, the ego just gets stronger and we stay unhappy. Okay, so we've got the concepts down, but how do we actually do this? How do we make this shift from just understanding it to actually living it? This is where we move from theory into reality. Let's try a really quick exercise right now. Just pick any object near you, a pen, your phone, a plant, whatever. Now just look at it. But look at it with this intense curiosity, like you're an alien who's never seen one before. Try just for a second to see it without your mind automatically slapping the label pen or plant on it. Can you feel that little gap? That moment of just pure seeing before the thought rushes in? That space, that is awareness. And that little exercise really hammers home the central point. The goal is not to stop your thoughts. You can't. The goal is to realize that you are not the thoughts. You are the vast, silent awareness in which the thoughts come and go. You're the sky, not the clouds that are just passing through. So what happens when you start to live more from this space of awareness? What's the end result of all this? Well, it's nothing less than a profound sense of connection. And, you guessed it, unity with all of life. Tolle has this great analogy. He says when the thinking mind looks at a forest, it just sees a chaotic mess of trees and plants. But when you look with awareness, when you look beyond all the mental labels, you start to sense this deep, sacred order. You realize that everything is connected. There's a hidden harmony to it all, where every single thing belongs exactly as it is. And when you live from this place of presence, it produces some pretty amazing results. It's not about getting something you don't have, it's about discovering what's already there. You find this deep inner peace that doesn't depend on what's happening outside. You feel a real, genuine connection to other people and to nature. You tap into a kind of intelligence that's way deeper than just thinking. And you discover this simple joy, just in being alive. And this leads to a pretty radical idea about our life's purpose. We usually think our purpose is about what we do, our career, our family, the things we achieve. Tolle says that's our secondary purpose, and it's important. But our primary purpose, he says, is simply to awaken, to bring the light of awareness into this world. And when you get that right, your secondary purpose starts to flow with so much more ease and power. So we'll end with this question for you to take with you. We spend so much of our lives trying to control and arrange the world, believing that our happiness depends on getting things to go our way. But what if that whole approach is backward? What if true freedom and happiness have nothing to do with what this moment looks like and everything to do with the quality of awareness you bring to it?